I am Doug Friedman.
I am Kenzie Janest.
And this is Your Mental Breakdown.
The podcast.
With two therapists and you.
Yeah, that still feels weird that
What?
I'm a therapist. Yeah, I am a therapist. Sometimes it really does not feel that way. Anyway, two therapists and you, whoever's listening.
All of them.
Yay. Welcome.
And we do welcome you. We welcome you. Have a seat on the couch.
Welcome.
Or your car.
Welcome.
Or jogging. Or where do you listen? You listen to podcasts. You listen to one on your way over here.
I do, and it hurt my brain. It did. That's why this podcast is great, because
well, you don't listen to it.
Smart.
You say it. We're not that smart.
I'm kidding. Doug is so smart, but there is something about where my ACT therapist out there, Stephen Hayes, too smart. Some people are too smart and it's too much, and it hurts my brain because I can't join them there. It takes extra effort, you know?
Sure.
So I do prefer podcasts that are more like talky, entertaining, comical, funny.
Unlike this one.
Take me out of my brain.
Right?
Yeah. But are we trying to give that to people? This is the balance, the enigmatic balance that we talk about.
Sure. You know what we did talk about?
What?
You did your hair today.
Oh my God. Nobody wants to hear about my hair, Doug.
Maybe they do.
I did my hair today. And the thing is, I only did a little bit of it because I got it done on Tuesday.
You did?
I got it done on Tuesday. It is a Friday.
What?
Like I got it dyed. Like I touched it up. You know how we do? We touch up the color.
Okay. It looks darker than it normally looks.
What? It's supposed to look lighter.
That's what I
darker?
thought. I would think hair being done means it's going to look lighter.
Well,
Yeah.
not always. Sometimes you do dye it darker, Doug.
That's true. I've dyed my hair black before.
What?
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine you with black hair.
I have black hair. I had, bleach blonde hair.
You had dreads.
I had dreads. I've
You
had
had
braids.
dreads.
I've had cornrows. I've had an afro.
Wow, you've been through many phases, haven't you?
Yeah.
Good for you. So have I.
What's this phase right now? What do we call this one?
Boring 30-year-old therapist, honestly.
Well, you nailed it.
That's who thank you. I'm doing a really good job. No, but look at me. I'm wearing some colors, some polka dot colors.
Uh-huh.
I'm interesting. I'm fun.
I've
got little hints of pops of color.
You've got
fun.
plenty of pop. Oh, that's something else you said.
What? Oh, no. Oh, no.
Your great insight into female therapists and Taylor Swift.
No, why would you? Oh, my God. All right, everyone. I don't like Taylor Swift, okay? Oh, my God. I said
Whoa.
it. Don't come at me with the pitchforks. I'm sorry.
I'm going to come at you. You said to me that you're not a Swiftie. Being not a Swiftie and actually what you just said, like I don't like Taylor Swift, those are two very different things.
Oh, no. Wait, did I put myself in a corner here?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not wait, what do you mean? I'm not a Swiftie and I don't like Taylor Swift. So one is more extreme than the other.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't even just tolerate Taylor Swift.
Wow.
Well, okay. No, that's a lie. I tolerate her. I have friends who friends. Yeah. I have
Even
friends
the
who
word
like her.
tolerate, just that word
Okay.
means you're putting up with something that you don't
That's why I didn't
with.
like that word. I accept her for who she is. I
All
think
right.
like radically accept. Hold on. I need to process this. We need to get going here.
Well, let's get going with a question that we got from somebody out there. We appreciate you.
Holy
We
crap.
appreciate you guys writing in with your questions. You can hit us up at info@yourmentalbreakdown.com or find us on social media wherever we are. And what we got this time was quite simply, how do you do mindfulness when you're too busy working?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's a good question. I think nearly every human in the modern world can relate to this question.
Mm-hmm.
When you're working too much, why does my brain go here? I'm like, define too much. What does it mean?
They just said too busy working.
Oh, too busy working. Well, okay. So
And I think it's the too busy part. It's not necessarily the working.
This
right?
is true. Okay. Here's my opinion, if that's
Bring it.
what we're doing here.
Bring it on.
I want to hear yours though, Doug, of course. I believe that we can practice mindfulness anywhere, everywhere, all times of day. So even while working, I think mindfulness does not equal meditation.
Exactly.
Right.
Love
I
that.
think a lot of people do equate the two, which is fair. I think they often come in a package, but it's not the case. I think mindfulness is almost just a way of being. a way of being non-judgmentally curious and aware of the moment. And thus, you could do that anywhere. While you're working, while you're brushing your teeth. It doesn't have to be a sit-down meditation, right? Where you're like silent.
Yeah. I think that's the big thing that I hear from a lot of people when they have comments like this.
Yeah.
And if you remember early on with Sarah, she was kind of looking at, don't tell me to meditate. I'm like, oh, that would be the worst thing for you right now. Like, no, not at all. Meditating is mindfulness.
It's a form of mindfulness.
It's a form of, but it's not the only form.
Right. It's actually one of the most extreme forms of mindfulness, probably.
Right. And mindfulness just means being present and acknowledging that you're present with whatever it is you're doing. So if you're too busy working, well, wait a second. If you actually just focus on your work. I've been on trails, like for example, in the Rocky Mountains, where the mountain was very rocky and you have to really,
don't say.
Right? Go figure. I literally was on a 14,000 foot peak with a couple of friends of mine going, wow, this terrain, it's like so rocky. Like you really have to focus on where you're going because it's so rocky. And they're like, you realize we're in the Rocky Mountains.
That is the point.
Right. And it's the point of, funny.
Thank you.
It's the point
of the mountain. Yeah. Okay.
Being mindful, like being very aware of putting one foot in front of the other, of focusing.
Yes.
And that's, my mind was clear. I couldn't think of anything else except one foot in front of the other.
Right.
So if you want to be mindful when you're working, you can just be very focused on the work itself. If you have that acknowledgement and that awareness that, oh, that's what I'm doing. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember talking to a client once who years ago was working like 14 or 16-hour days on set.
Oof,
and
been there.
Right. And it's
hell.
Brutal sometimes.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you smoke, right? She was like, yeah. I said, okay. So when you take a cigarette break, can you just focus on your breath, when you're smoking a cigarette and just say, hey, I'm taking a break to be mindful, even if I'm doing it while smoking.
I was going to say, that's a hot take for a therapist to endorse cigarette smoking.
Meet the client where they are.
This is true.
If they're smoking and they feel like, I'm too busy. Well, you're not too busy to take a 5-minute smoke break.
Yeah, you might as well add some mindfulness in there.
Right. You take it where you can. Right?
Yeah. I think a lot of us can't actually fit it in like a formal meditation or a formal mindfulness routine, right? But it's a way of being that you can revert your gaze or your attention back to every day, the present moment.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that is people think I have to stop everything I'm doing to become mindful and then I can plug back in. Well, not really. You don't have to do that. You can't, like I go for a hike every morning and some mornings I'm not as mindful as others. I'm still in nature hiking, but I might be listening to a podcast or, really focused on what do I need to do today? Who do I need to email? Who do I need to call?
Your mind is elsewhere, even though you're hiking.
You know where you really could put your mind right now?
Where, Doug?
On the session that we have coming up with Drew.
Ooh, yeah, let's do that.
All right. So we will step out of the way. Y'all can listen to Drew. If you do have a question for us, I already told you, but I'll tell you again.
Tell us again, Doug.
Email us at info@yourmentalbreakdown.com. Find us on social media anywhere. DM us, comment to us.
Slip into our DMs.
No,
not
tiger.
Slip. Oh, God, slide. Slide.
And you can slip and slide into this episode, and we will talk with you in a little bit.
Yay! God. When you look at me and I forget what I'm doing.
You need to be mindful. All right. That's all that crap.
Hell yeah.
How's that crap over there?
It's good. It's been a long week. Holiday season's been crazy. I think you'd be really proud of me this morning. I've been putting off the whole insurance and just everything combined with all what that is and healthcare and just everything. So finally decided to get that done with today. Figured out a lot of good information and then started game planning financially how to just kind of make some stuff happen, and get myself back in the green instead of the red, which is nice. And so I feel like I'm kind of cleaning out some dirty dishes, which feels good. I hit the gym, so I feel good right now, kind of mellowed out a little bit because I've been stressing. I've been stressing a lot. I was thinking, this is a perfect opportunity to bring it up. So I was talking to Mom about credit card and what that looks like and just kind of trying to get that ball rolling too.
A couple of things here. Number one, I'm glad you're talking to your mom and being direct, and dealing with the insurance. And that's, it falls under the category that we've talked about being an adult and taking care of these things and soon to be a father, and it's still parenting yourself.
Right.
Right. That's still new. Right.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that you don't just go from, your parents parenting you to you parenting your kid.
Mm-hmm.
That we give yourself an opportunity to sort of parent yourself and be yourself. So looking at your insurance, looking at credit cards, looking at, just finances in general, you've always said like, oh yeah, I suck at finances. Okay. Well, this is an opportunity to kind of look at it and see, okay, well, what works? How can I budget? What do I need? What does this look like? So I think that is something that's not just going to click in and okay, got it. It's really coming up with your mechanism for how you do that and how that makes sense.
I really want to take time to see what my needs are and kind of test the waters out, as the holiday season is here, and I feel emotionally better than I ever have as far as stresses and kind of tackling things as they come. The last 6 months, I feel very confident in my ability to have boundaries and saying, no, I can't do that, or no, I'm too widespread, or this is too much. I need to take a step back before I get to the point of imploding.
Yeah, that's good. And I notice you do have a mechanism. Like you've said to me actually fairly recently, like I can feel this coming on. And that's being more aware of like a buildup. Yeah. Okay. And look, I'll say this. It's no secret. It's, I'd rather not say it, but it's true. So I will. You now have a history of heart attack, not even heart event or cardiac, you had a heart attack.
Right.
That's big, dude. And whether it's COVID related or not, it's an indicator of, oh, right, hypertension, stress. Okay. And that like, no, I'm young, I'm good, no problem. Right. So let's kind of carve the path where it is no problem, where you don't get so stressed, so out of control, so widespread, as you said. Let's let you set yourself up to succeed.
Yeah. And I feel like that, since that heart attack, that heart episode, weirdly enough, I haven't been that stressed out since. And it almost kind of made me take a step back and, to our conversation last week of not quite dealing with it yet, and almost looking the other way because I want to focus on other things. I've been thinking and practicing this last week of what that looks like for me and kind of just marinating on the thought of, well, if I put all my eggs in everybody else's basket and I don't put any in mine, I can't really help anybody. Knowing that I was going to have a session today helped me kind of motivate me to be able to start cleaning some of the dishes and getting after it. And it was overwhelming, and I had no idea what to even start with. But I just kind of picked something and went for it. And now that I'm probably 2% into it, so it's not like, oh yeah, I figured out everything this morning, we're all good now. It's
right.
It's more so the conversation of getting the ball rolling and like I say cleaning the dishes. Maybe I just put the dish soap in the sink, and just the start of that has already taken a lot of the pressure off of my shoulders. And I think the other side of what's going on, especially with today, is I feel like I'm planning a lot of things out and trying to stick to that, which inherently hasn't been a very good thing for me because when it doesn't go according to plan, that's when I get really stressed out. And so I think adding the 10%, not of disappointment, but of if things do go wrong, what's B, C, and D? And, my answer for C and D is to freestyle it. And so having A and B of being able to methodically kind of plan things out and then knowing C and D, or I have the ability to freestyle it. And when it comes, I can't handle that has been, it's been a lot of reassurance for myself of like, okay, I do got this. We're going to be okay. Now it's time to go do it.
Right. That 10% that you're describing is almost like, to put it in terms of Green Beret and Boy Scout, it's almost like 10% of both. Like 10% of Boy Scout in that I want to be prepared. I want to know this. I want to figure this out. I want to have B, C, and D. Right. But the Green Beret is I know I can do B, C, and D if that comes up, and just having like, put that over there in that 10%, cool. Now I can push that aside and be this 90% over here.
Yeah.
It's sort of like knowing, all right, I don't have to play out B, C, and D, but I just need to know that they exist and that there's a strong chance that something doesn't go according to plan and I might be okay. I mean, girlfriends, not that far along.
Right.
You know, and I don't want to jinx it and I'm knocking on wood as I say this, like some pregnancies don't carry to term.
Right.
You know, and that's all right. That might be a plan C, D, X, Y, or Z. Like, I don't even want to think about that. Mm-hmm. It's there. Like, okay, we don't have to think about it, but we know, okay, if that comes up, you can handle it and you can be there for her and you can have your own feelings and you can process it, you know? Cool. I don't have to go through it right now.
Right. It's weird. I almost have that mentality for what the pregnancy is now. And in the sense of, I want to parent myself right now so that I know I'm prepared when the baby comes to be able to handle that. I am so focused on getting myself to where I want to be and not just kind of putting things off, because I know come July things are going to be completely different, and I don't think I'm going to have the time to focus on myself the way I do now. But I'm trying to slow down a little bit. And I am slowing down a little bit, and I am smelling the roses in the midst of all this chaos and the stress. And typically the worst time of the year for me has been the holidays. And I think I'm really taking this season to focus on myself and experience the holiday season the way I want to experience it with the people I want to experience it with. And I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago of my pendulum of going kind of back and forth of focus on everybody else, focus all on me, focus on everybody else, focus all on me. Right. And I think it's coming to more of the middle. I'm very focused on wanting to help myself in this holiday season for the first time. I think last year I was so focused on, or was it? Well, it might have been 2 years ago, my brother's wedding. I think it was 2 years ago. Now that I say that, yeah.
2 years ago.
And the focus was so much on just getting to the wedding and being present and being who I want to be at the wedding. And then last holiday season, parents had COVID and then I had COVID, you know, so it was more of just trying to get healthy again. And so this is like the first time in the last couple of years that I've had a true holiday experience that hasn't gone awry and it hasn't hit the fan. And I'm happy I didn't say yet, because I was, you know, I'm not expecting it to.
And I'm not preparing for it to.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because I think it's my holiday season and it's exactly what I want it to be. And I'm doing a lot within it, but it feels really good. And it feels joyous and it feels all of that in the midst of everything else.
2 years ago, you were talking about that'll be the first time that everybody's going to meet ex-girlfriend. Wow, that didn't happen, right? And last year, again, just to show the passage of time and incredible growth, it was girlfriend, and it was all right. Well, I feel like I'm having, you know, their holidays with them or my holidays over here. Like it was always somebody else's holiday. I mean, you just said it a second ago. This is my holiday. Mm-hmm. And that idea of being with, I think it was her mom that you were with. I mean, I remember the Thanksgiving last year more because you were talking about, yeah, let's just eat cheeseburgers. Like, cool. Like what? Right. And it was just sort of navigating that and you kind of like incorporating some of your own into your relationship, into what that was. But there was still an element even a year ago of wanting to fit in with her family, mm-hmm. their tradition. And now you're more like, no, this is my holiday. Here's how I'd like to spend it. There's some flexibility and you're not preparing for or expecting, as you said, it to go this way or it needs to be this way. It's okay. You know, there's less of struggle that I hear from you and less of trying to fit into someone else or Having to stifle what I want.
Right. And this will probably make sense. I feel more okay than I do fine.
Yeah, fine meaning I can just go with it. No worries, fine, whatever, no big deal. Put those feathers and bricks in there, no problem. Okay is like, no, I'm actually okay.
Yeah.
That's how I hear that from you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's just kind of, and that's where I'm at now.
That's where I'm at now. That might change. And if that changes, okay. Not fine, but okay. I can handle that. It's recognizing for yourself, it doesn't have to be that much work and that much of a struggle and that much of like figuring out, you know, how I'm doing this in workplace, what I'm doing with my mom, what's going on with finances, what I'm doing with girlfriend, how the family is, and what's going on with, it's like, wait, I don't have to put on the cape. I don't have to figure everything out for every scenario. Know that the A plan has to work. And if it doesn't, I have to know B, C, and D plan. I'm good. I'm okay. And if things change, when they change, okay. I will adapt to the changes. It won't throw me off. I see you nodding. When you not intellectually agree with what I say, but when you actually feel what I say, night terrors don't exist.
Yeah, and I don't think I mean, off the top of my head, I haven't had a night terror in a while, you know, like a long while. But what I will relate it to is, and I noticed it the other night, a couple days ago, but my smoking habits and where I'm at with that, and I kind of did a self check-in, just kind of while I was smoking, huh? Yeah, weed,
both. Yeah.
Weed. Yeah, I mean, cigarettes and weed. Yeah, cigarettes and weed. But with weed, it's a stress relief. And me and girlfriend got into an argument about it the other day because, you know, we are financially struggling. And I mentioned to her, I was like, hey, okay, I didn't end up going to the Kanye concert because I had a weird gut feeling. And, you know, all in all, I just didn't feel like it was a good situation for me to go to. And that was all me. There was no outside pressure. When I called girlfriend, I was like, hey, like, I just don't feel right about it. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I just don't think we should go. And, you know, I need to de-stress a little bit. I've been working 6 days a week. Lots going on. I'm very stressed. I'm going to go buy some weed. And I think what we're trying to figure out right now is how we communicate when we disagree on fundamental things like that. Because she kind of came back and was like, no, don't fucking do that. You know, we're not in the spot to be able to afford that and this and that and whatever, right? And we actually got into an argument about it because I was like, no, this is what I want to do. I'm going to do this. I made the money. I'm going to go spend it. And as soon as I got weed, I went home and I smoked. And this is right when I self-checked in with myself. I was like, what's going on? Like, why do I want to smoke so bad right now? Why am I so stressed about it? What's happening? And so I kind of sat back and realized that I was really stressed out and I was trying to mask all of the stress within just getting high. And inherently nothing really got done that I wanted to get done. I don't know the right answer for where I want to go with what I'm saying, but as I'm saying it, I am stressed and I am using weed to cope with that. And I think I'm numbing myself, especially right now, just to get through. I'm not getting down on myself for it. You know, I don't feel guilty about that, but I also don't want to make excuses for just getting through.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you credit for acknowledging it and noticing it in that way. I'm self-medicating more. I'm trying to get through because it's stressful. Okay, cool. So now that you know that, it's being aware of it and then going, all right, is there something else I can do here? And I don't know. It's kind of looking at, for you, wow, my stress level is going up. I am self-medicating and using weed to bring that down. And I'm not beating myself up for it, but I'd rather not do that. Now, what do we do with that? And I am probably stressed, maybe anxious, not facing something, and of course, you know me, double down, don't shut down. Let's move towards it. Let's see what that is. We get an understanding of that and an acceptance of that to be what it is. Then it's not as stressful. Doesn't mean we like it. And I don't know what it is.
So as you said, avoiding something, I instantly popped in my head. And I think I know what I'm avoiding. And I still haven't told my parents that we're pregnant. And I think it's a threefold thing. And I've been going back and forth a lot and thinking about it and just everything. And I think one, I really want to do it in the right way for me. And I thought that was going up to Seattle and seeing them and telling them in person and, kind of feeling that all together. Two is the stress of the reaction and what they're going to say and it could be good, it could be bad, I don't know. And three, topic of conversation is finances. If my parents weren't here, I don't think I would stress about it. And I don't think I'd have a worry in the world of what's upcoming and what's going on. However, they are very here and I do want them to be involved with my life, with my family's life, with everything that I am. And I think if I were to just kind of lay it on them right now, I feel like I would send my mom down a rabbit hole, and it's, the holidays and everything that is for me. Throwing that in the mix is, I don't want to say it's too much for me because it's not, but it would be too much if they had an adverse reaction to it. And that's what I'm afraid of.
Would it be too much if they didn't?
I don't know. Walking through it in my head, I see three situations. One being an adverse reaction and why this question, blah, 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 blah. One's kind of like in the middle, mediocre, like, oh, good for you guys. What are you doing tomorrow? And then the third's really excited. Can we come down there? We want to spend some time with you guys. We want to involve ourselves and everything that is. And I think I carry a weird sense of guilt in each situation.
Okay. Tell me about that for each one. Let's run through those. And this is not an exercise in we're entertaining the anxiety. This is, let's scratch at what emotions are there now.
Yeah. I'll start with the good reaction first.
Wait, time out. The good reaction, for some people, I know it's not what you meant. The good reaction is, okay, cool. What are you doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
I think what you mean is, oh, we're going to come down. We want to be involved. This is amazing.
Yeah.
For some, the good is, yeah, I don't want them involved. So rather than say good, bad, let's just say the reaction where they're super involved and super enthusiastic.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think the guilt there is, again, knowing my dad's on his way to retirement and that he's on the forefront of, I don't want to say starting a new life, but it's a life where I'm less involved. Maybe my mom's a little less involved, and he's really exploring his life. And I almost feel like he would put a lot of that to a halt for me, knowing the way my dad and my relationship is. And I don't think I would want that. But I think at the end of the day, the guilt I feel with what that reaction might be is that they would be involved in my life because they would feel pressured to, because they don't think I can handle it. Yeah, and going all the way back to, I just want my parents to be proud of me. This is a weird one for me because I think they would be proud of me, but I don't think they would believe me that I had all this set and ready and I'm prepared for all of this. And I am. I am. And of course there's a checklist of things I got to get ready. But that's what I'm doing.
Let's just define that a little bit. I am ready. Am I emotionally ready? Am I mentally ready? Is my relationship ready? Is the house that I live in and the nursery ready? Are my finances ready? And there's a lot of different readies there.
I'm very emotionally ready. I would say the the other ones, maybe not. I am stressed of my parents' reaction to me not being ready right now.
In the other senses of the word ready.
Right. In their sense of finances. I mean, when I talk to my parents, it's 99% finance related. It's never a check-in of, hey, how's your day? You know, so when I talk to my parents about readiness and all of that, I know it's going to be finance related, and that is the stress because I know I'm not ready there.
Okay, good. I'm glad you define it that way. That goes back to the avoidance and the weed. I don't want to tell my parents because I'm not ready in these ways. Yet you know you're not ready. I'm ready emotionally. And yeah, I don't have the finances all set up to have a kid, but it's coming. And I'm not asking for them to come down. I'm not asking for them to, write checks. I'm emotionally ready. Am I financially ready? Do I have it figured out? No. And just knowing that for you, the ways in which you're ready and the ways in which you're not, is a strength. I don't think the strength comes in being ready on all levels. It comes from knowing where you are ready and where you aren't ready. And eventually it might be where I'm going to get support for the places I'm not ready. I think that idea of, yeah, I'm ready. I know where I'm ready. I know where I'm not ready. Oh, you guys are having a reaction? Okay. That's yours. Because you seem like you want to control their reaction. Or you'll take on their reaction. You'll feel guilty depending on their reaction.
As we're talking about it, I feel like I judged them so much that I don't want to be judged in return. In a lot of situations, but this one more apparent than most. And I think I would hold that a lot closer and I would feel it a lot more because it is coming from my parents.
Your parents are going to have a reaction, and the reaction might be, like we said, the one where they're super involved, the one where they're just like, whatever, or the one where they're, upset or say that, who knows? We don't know. What I'm stressing is when you are aware of how you are with this, then, whatever they say, however they react is theirs and you have yours. Like, oh, well, how are you going to do that? How are you going to do it? Yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of ways in which I'm not ready for this. Well, God, are you sure you can do this? I'm sure because I'm emotionally ready, but I don't have all these other things set up. Because the stronger you are in where you are with this doesn't mean I have to be ready on all fronts.
Right.
It means knowing where I am and knowing where I'm not.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, we talked about this a while ago, the Eminem 8 Mile, final rap battle, if you remember that one. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you going to say about me that I haven't already said?
Right.
Like, yeah, I knocked up my girlfriend. Yeah, I'm living at her mother's house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a job where I can barely pay my bills. And yeah, I'm emotionally ready and I've got a good relationship where we talk about things. Yep. All that stuff. What else you got? Look at that smile. All right.
Yeah.
All right. What's going on over there?
Yeah. Well, it's, and I think I like talking about past tense because I like the mile markers. And I think I'm smiling right now because if you would have said all that to me a year ago, I would have been like, fuck you, and like, no, I am doing what I can and I am doing, and it's like, I'm smiling because like, yeah, I am barely paying my bills and I am living in her stepmom's house and we're renting a room from her and that's all true. And I'm ready. And I'm emotionally so grounded in what I find true for myself. Their reaction doesn't matter. But no matter what of the three scenarios come, I'm still ready and I'm still excited and I still have a baby on the way.
My self-worth isn't dependent on their reaction.
100%.
It also doesn't mean you have to like everything about where you are and how ready or not you are.
Yeah.
Walking through it that way, I see you nodding with a lot of what I've been saying because it really is coming from you. Like, where you are.
Right.
And you're like, cool. Well, what if this happens? Like, I don't know. I guess I'll have to deal with it. You know,
Right.
Well, what if this? Like, I don't know. Are you sure you're ready to have a kid?
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, because you know everything?
No. Not even
No,
close.
Because I know I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, how's that hitting
Yeah.
you?
It's really cool growing up and seeing how my parents were, and what was instilled in me was get married, get your finances straight, have a house, and then have a baby. And I've literally carried that mentality probably up until maybe 2 weeks ago. Going back 3 weeks ago was a lot of the unknown and nervousness and, oh my God, what's happening? Oh, this, that, whatever. Week 2 was a little bit more of, this is what I want. And I really am excited for this. And oh my God, here we go. And then kind of a week ago is a lot more in the strong factor of, and I'm glad we're talking about what I'm not ready for, because that makes it feel a lot more real. And even saying it out loud, it helps me not avoid it. And being here right now is, this is what I want. And no matter my parents' reaction, I still couldn't be more excited. And as we're talking about it, I feel more comfortable that they're going to be excited too.
Yeah. It's a strength for you, you know, and it really is being your own person and being an adult. It's what you said to me a while back of, I just want to share this with them to share it. I'm not looking for that reassurance from them. I'm not looking for my self-worth from them. I'm not looking for them to be proud. That'd be nice. And maybe those things would feel good. Sure. I still know where I am with this. I'm good. And when you have to like not talk about all the ways that you're not ready, because then you're exposing your weaknesses. Nope, can't do that. It's like, I don't know if you've seen a baseball game where they show, oh yeah, I'm sure you've played it on, you know, on whatever gaming system you got, but the red zone and the blue zone, like where the hitter's hot and where the hitter's cold. You don't want anybody knowing where you're cold, because then they're going to pitch you there. Right?
Right. Yeah.
I couldn't hit a curveball in real life. I thought it was going to hit me, and I bailed out every single time. Every single time. In practice, I could hit a curve off the coach, but in a game, no way. I think that ball's going to hit me. Bye. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want anybody seeing your weakness, because it'll be weakness. Mm-hmm. If you can go, I don't know what curveballs they're going to be with this. And I don't know how to hit a curveball, but I'm going to dig in. I'm not going to bail out. I'm at the plate. When we're comfortable with the blue zones and the red zones, when we're comfortable with our weaknesses, where we don't know, where we aren't ready, that's when we don't have to avoid. When we think we have to be all red, when we think we have to be able to hit every pitch and know the pitch ahead of time and recognize, so much pressure. I don't know if you want to tell your parents when you're out of the first trimester, or if you want to tell them like after the holidays, or if you want to tell them in 5 minutes from now. Just be like, hey, you know, and however you want to do it, it's up to you. It's not like their reaction and what's going on with them. That's theirs. You don't need to own that.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to tell them, but I'm excited to tell them now.
Yeah.
You know, and I think all the pressures, and there's a little pressure there, but I think the quote unquote bad pressure is gone. No, I think this is a lot of good pressure now, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it a lot over the next 6 months. You know, I'm sure of it. But, you know, as the process goes and as I'm maturing in myself, it's exciting to kind of see how all this is unfolding.
I like the weight being lifted and the avoidance not needing to be there.
Yeah, I think I'm getting better at not avoiding things and naming things. I think I'm really excited for where I'm at in life right now.
And we are back.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Drew. Drew's adulting.
He is absolutely adulting right now.
More and more adulting without a prescriptive SMART goal, might I add.
Well, and what's cool is without the prescription for it, he's kind of being smart all by himself.
Yeah, nice. He really is. Well, and I was going to ask you about that. What do you think the mechanism of change was there for him? Like the fact that you did not explicitly or overtly go over a goal, right? Of like, let's call the doctor next week. Let's do something productive, right?
Right.
And instead, I think he said, I knew I had therapy coming up. I knew I had this session. And it almost like inspired him or reminded him to care about his life, right? And to do something. So what's that about, Doug? What is your like take on that? You know, that it doesn't have to be such a prescriptive thing. Like what's happening in between sessions that, you know, inspires clients to make change?
I think I got lucky.
Boring.
I think partly it's knowing my client.
Yeah.
And here I know that Drew is somebody who is going to think about this stuff. I mean, he likes being challenged. I challenged him last week. Mm-hmm. So he's going to actually take that to heart and think about that as he goes through his week. And what was really cool is he was talking about like, I wasn't really talking with mom. And then I did talk to mom and I was able to have more boundaries. It's just interesting because I think he's taking the challenge of like, oh, how can I not rely on her so much? How can I be a little more adult? Like that's been in his mind. And the whole idea, I think, psychologically is we're making things unconscious, conscious.
So very psychodynamic.
Right?
All right, Freud. Well, I also think, and maybe this isn't in the psychodynamic vein here, but maybe prescribing a goal or like telling him what to do might have even like reinforced that parental, figure in his life who's telling him what to do. And instead you gave him the autonomy to make his own choices and like really dig it up from within.
Dig it.
You know?
Totally.
You dig that?
I dig it.
Cool.
And I do the same thing with Sarah. And we talk about this sometimes too, like not just being another one in a long line of people telling her what to do and how to do it. So it gives her and Drew, in this case, agency.
It's interesting that they have that parallel when it's from very different reasons, from very different backgrounds.
Right.
But they both need that non-authoritarian person as a therapist.
Well, I mean, it's something I think universal. We all need to grow that parent inside of us.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to have had ineffective parents. You could have had very effective,
that's true.
very loving parents, and you
still need to become an adult and have some agency and autonomy. Of course, there are caveats to that or nuances to that, but for most people, general developmental phases does include differentiation and, individuation, whatever.
Ooh, big words.
All these big words.
I know. Look at you.
I heard
you,
myself
adult.
and said, shut up.
You're such an adult.
Thank you, Doug. Okay, speaking of challenging him.
Who?
You challenging Drew. I know he likes the challenge. What is up with you constantly reminding him that he had a heart attack? Oh, and I do intuitively, I'm like, okay, I get it. Like he does come into sessions with a very... maybe not all the time, but he is avoiding his feelings, right? So you do this throughout this session in particular, right? Where you kind of remind him of, previous holiday years and like what things looked like back then. And like just, you had a heart attack. It's almost like, don't you forget it. Like you've been through shit, dude. You can't just brush that under the rug. Right. Is that something that you think he appreciates and wants, or is that what's going on there?
I don't know, and I don't know. Yeah, that's not true. That's not true.
What a good therapist you are.
It's something that, for most people, you hear them later in life go, oh my God, it was a wake-up call when I had that heart attack.
Yeah.
His heart attack did not wake him up at all.
No.
Right? Yeah. So what am I doing with this? I'm trying to help him with an awakening.
To wake up a little bit.
And part of that is... a lot of his MO is I keep doing, I keep working, I keep going. And he gets very, very overwhelmed and stressed a lot.
Right. Would you look at that?
Right.
You're trying to point out that very obvious thing that you see, but sometimes clients can't see or we can't see when we're in it. It's funny because he's like, weirdly, I haven't been that stressed out since the heart attack. And I'm like, really, Drew?
Right.
Really? Or is that just avoidance, which eventually we get to? Yeah, it's a big ol' heaping of... big ol' helping of avoidance.
A big old heaping helping of avoidance.
Yeah. Thank you. We got there. Okay.
There you go. I like where he said, it's not like I just thought of it this morning and I'm fine. Like I'm just starting this. He used the dirty dishes
He loves that one.
Oh, he does.
I love it too, actually.
It's great. It's great because we all have sinks and we have dishes.
We do.
Right?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, it's not like I just cleaned all of the dishes, but I got rid of some of the big pots and pans. So
the
now
stuff
there's
that's
a
in the
little
way.
Yep.
I know. I was fighting with that metaphor and I was like, Kenzie, just shut up. It's a good metaphor. Because I'll be like nitpicking, language, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I actually leave the big stuff in my sink the most and then I do all the little stuff. I'm like, no. It just makes sense. Sometimes we just need to hush, hush.
That's funny. I do the opposite.
I feel like most people probably do.
Well, I leave the silverware in there, but I'll clean like the bowls and the dishes and the pots and the pans. And then I'm like, oh man, I've got no sporks left. I've got to don't knock the spork.
God.
It's my favorite utensil.
Do you have a spork?
I have stainless steel sporks. You've seen them.
Oh, do not recall.
Oh man, they're the best.
I feel like I would have remembered that.
Shout out to Dr. Spork.
Shout out to a spork.
And I will eventually get to my sink and realize a lot of my utensils are just there. I'm like, oh man. And it takes so much time because it's all the little things, right?
Yeah. No, and that's why the metaphor does make sense. But yeah, for some reason, I think it depends on if you have a dishwasher, honestly, because I throw the little things in the dishwasher and then the big things I have to wait to wash.
That's a good idea. I never use my dishwasher.
Yeah. What?
Never.
What? Why?
Why?
It's one of the greatest gifts to
I don't know. I like the
humankind.
sensation of washing myself.
What?
I don't know.
It's a mindfulness activity for you.
There you go. It is, actually.
My partner feels the same way. He loves washing dishes because it's like literally a moment of calm and peace.
Right? Right? You get the nice, soothing hot water on your hands.
Sure.
You can suds it up.
Yeah, it smells good.
What's not to like?
Yeah. Okay, can you remind me, because, it's been a little while, 10%. You keep on bringing up this 10% thing. Can you re-explain that for me?
I can try. Part of it, he really loved the idea of 10% disappointment. Like when somebody just says, oh, that's disappointing, or, oh, I'm disappointed in that, he'll take that as I am a disappointment 100%.
Okay, so it's kind of the catastrophic black and white. No, it's like maybe a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we can feel more than one feeling at once.
Exactly.
It's like that. Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
He also said this funny thing. I feel more okay than I do fine. And I was like, that's interesting. Because once again, it's like this thing where I fight in my brain. I'm like, well, what? But then I'm like, it makes sense, okay? It's intuitive. Yeah, like when we say I'm fine, we know that you're not fine.
No.
But with I'm okay. It does have a little bit of a different feel to it.
And there was something from earlier episodes, and, this is kind of exposing you, which you were like, ooh, do I need to? You haven't listened to all the Drew episodes.
Yes.
So you don't know every single thing we've ever talked about, which all of our listeners, you have. You know every single thing we've ever talked about.
Real fans out there know.
So there was an episode that we called Fine, F-I-N-E, which stood for fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional.
Did you come up with that together?
Not at all. No. In fact, there is a song by Aerosmith called Fine.
Oh, as an acronym?
Yep.
Like that? Oh.
Yep. And they say fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional.
I can't believe I haven't heard of this because I love it.
In one of their bigger songs called What It Takes, there's a line that says, girl, before I met you, I was F-I-N-E fine.
Yeah.
And he's alluding to that other song on that same album called Fine.
Yeah, I was not okay.
Yep. And just without knowing that, Drew loved the idea of, when I did throw that on him, that acronym and what it means, but just that idea of, we can say we're fine and it's just a way of dismissing it. It's just a way of piling on more stress.
Right.
Do you remember the feathers and bricks? Do you know that one?
I do. I remember feathers and bricks, but I think you'll have to refresh my memory on that one too, because the idea is that we can have a bunch of feathers that equate to one brick. Is that what it is? Or is it
so
that would be a lot more feathers, but feathers are lighter, obviously easier on the back.
Right. Just what you said and the kind of motions you were making when you did it. We don't really pay attention to feathers. You can take on a bunch of feathers. They add up.
Yeah.
They add up. And the whole thing that I do starts off with the nursery riddle or rhyme. What weighs more, a ton of feathers or a ton of bricks?
Oh. See, I didn't know the origins of
that's
this.
the origin.
Oh.
So what's the answer?
Fun. The more you know. Oh, what weighs more? A ton of feathers or a ton of bricks? There's a trick in this. I know it's a trick question. I mean, it's obviously bricks. A ton of bricks?
Yeah. A ton of bricks versus a ton of feathers.
Oh, they weigh the fucking same. Oh my God. I knew that was a trick question.
Right. And the trick,
I knew it.
But that perfectly shows what we're talking about here, because we think a ton of bricks weighs more because we recognize bricks have weight.
They're heavy.
So the idea is we accumulate so many more feathers throughout the day or the week or whatever without thinking about it because we don't pay attention, and we take them on. And for me, a big clue and a cue for when people are taking on a lot is they will say, oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
It's just a bunch of little things.
Right.
But those little things add up, and that's how people become overwhelmed.
Right. Which usually just means I don't know any other way around it. So I'm just going to shove these feathers on my back and just keep going. And then later on, you realize, oh my gosh, I've been stressed out for so long.
Right.
I have hypertension. I had a heart attack. Right.
Yeah.
There we go.
And because it's his natural kind of tendency towards avoidance, right? Which,
right.
God, I really, this is not, I'm not just talking about Drew here. I think so many people can relate to that feeling of, not even feeling, just the automatic thought of push this away. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Right.
Like, I just cannot deal with this right now.
Right. And one of my sayings with him early on was double down, don't shut down.
Yes. I wrote that in my notes because I love it, because I do love ACT. I love acceptance and commitment therapy. And that is literally the three like pillars of ACT is, open up, be aware, and do what matters. And like opening up and being aware is the acceptance part, which is like go towards the feeling, actually.
Exactly.
It seems counterintuitive, but see what happens when you go towards it.
Right.
And that's what we see in this session with Drew, where he ends up feeling so much lighter and happier knowing that, oh, I can access these feelings and just move towards them instead of gathering all the feathers.
Even telling his parents about the pregnancy. He didn't want to do that because of their reaction, this, that, and there were two things to this. One is, well, their reactions are theirs. You can let them have it. That's part of adulting and part of individuation. Right.
Yeah.
And then there's that idea of avoidance. I was just avoiding it, not going near it. But yet it was weighing on him and living with him much longer than had he just done it.
The validation here too is like, how could it not? It's stressful telling your parents that you're pregnant, or it doesn't have to be inherently stressful, but I think it's a big moment. I think that's another part of his avoidance, or just kind of minimizing stuff that's going on, right? And so you have to kind of watch that with him or remind him, like, these are big deals, like your metaphor with the marathon to going to the Olympics, right? Like just reminding him, like, these are big deals. These are big things, right?
Right. And the whole idea, I think, almost this whole session was we can go towards the thing, we can name it, we can talk about it. And this is a safe space to do that. It's when you don't talk about it,
festers.
Yeah, it festers. And he even said, that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of their reaction and how this might be. So he's living in that fear constantly.
It's just anticipatory anxiety.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a hallmark of anxiety, right? Like that feeling of, I don't know what's going to happen and I can't control it. And that uncertainty is killing me.
Right.
And so really what we have to do, I mean, the only way out is through. We have to tell our parents that we're pregnant. We have to sit with the feelings of whatever their response is.
And allow their response to be theirs. If we sit with it, we sit with their reaction and their feelings. We don't have to take it on ourselves.
Right. It's that kind of Buddhist philosophy of non-attachment and not taking things personally, too, and just letting people have their responses because they're theirs.
And there was an interesting thing, I think, that I did in this session where playing out, like, okay, well, what could their reaction be? Let's think about it. Let's go there for a second.
Yeah. You said, run me through all of those.
To me, that's he loved this because we've talked about it before, the 8 Mile. Do you know that movie?
I do. I've seen it. I know Eminem because I have 2 older brothers.
You do know Eminem. You don't hate
Eminem
on him as much as you hate on Taylor Swift?
I mean, oh God. Oh no. No, I probably hated on him too. But I actually liked his music. Okay. When I was younger, liked his music.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But that idea is I already know all of these things, so I'm aware of them. So it's not going to sting me. If you, in a rap battle, if you're going to like tell me I live in a trailer park and
yeah,
like
what
this
can
and
you
do
tell
this,
me that
like,
I don't already know?
Right. I mean, I threw that back on him and I gave him his version of it. And it was just hearing it back. He's like, yeah, as I'm hearing it back, I'm realizing, I think he realized 2 things. One, I'm not going down the rabbit hole. I'm not spiraling on it. And, I feel like I judged them so much for how they were going to react.
Yeah.
So that I don't feel as judged.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to hit on that too, because I was like, what does he mean by that? I judge my parents. So are we just saying like that was a projection of his judgment onto them. Like, I'm judgy towards them, so of course they're going to judge me. I just assume that, like, because I'm that way, they're going to be that way. Or is it his judgments that he has for himself, like towards himself? Like, it is kind of crazy that I'm having a kid with this person who cheated on me a year ago, and I don't have a house, and I'm not financially stable, right? Like, I was kind of constantly wondering through this session, is there a little bit of defensive projection going on here?
Totally.
Yeah.
There's a line that I love, which is, it only really stings if you're already holding that judgment for yourself.
Yeah. And I was going to say, if you know it's true, but it's not necessarily true.
No.
It's just that something you're feeling too as truth, but maybe it's not objectively true.
And the beauty, I think, of therapy is if you're already feeling it, well, let's talk about it instead of avoiding it. Because when we talk about it, hey, guess what? We can process those feelings, and now they're not as scary.
They're not as scary, because you're actually just feeling the fear and doing it anyway.
Right.
To take it all the way back to one. So I wonder, though, with this whole, like, well, let's go through all the what ifs, right? Because you did mention, like, this is not an exercise in anxiety or something like that, right? Like, I don't want to make you more anxious here. Because you have said to clients before, well, if you're going to play the what if game, let's go both ways. Like, what if something really great happens, or what if it goes fine?
Right.
So what was kind of, if you remember, put yourself back and visualize yourself in this moment, Doug.
Yeah.
You know, to kind of go there, and maybe it could have gone the other way, where it was like, oh shit, what if they react this way? What if they react this way? Like, oh God, now I'm spiraling.
That would have been fine.
Okay.
What I wanted to get to, and why I say we're not entertaining the anxiety. What we're doing is bringing the emotions out.
Right. Which is like guilt and
whatever it is. So I wanted him just to let it all fly.
Okay.
If it would come out as anxiety, I would scratch the anxiety. Like, okay, what's the anxiety is a fear of something that hasn't happened yet. What's the fear? What are we worried about? Oh, we're scared.
Right.
Scared. Oh, judged. Oh, embarrassed. Oh, those are the emotions. So I wanted to not worry about the anxiety and get to the emotions and get to what he was feeling and be able to express it.
Which was that, okay, maybe he's ready in certain ways, but he's not ready in all ways. No one can really be ready in all ways to be a parent or to go into any like next stage of life, because you don't know what's going to happen. There is an inherent uncertainty with any next step.
Right.
So I think that's the part you're kind of getting at here too with him, right?
Yeah, because it's naming it feels better.
Yeah, just being honest.
We're so afraid. He doesn't want his parents to say you're not ready, because he's holding that judgment for himself.
Right.
Oh, I'm feeling like I'm not ready. Yeah. As soon as we mention and say out loud, oh, I feel like I'm not ready, and we discuss that, it doesn't sting.
Yeah.
And you go, oh yeah, right. You know what? I'm not 100% not ready. I might just be 10% not ready.
Right. And it's okay. Yeah. It's okay to be a little not ready.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially to feel that.
I think being an adult, because I would know, being an adult is like, it's admitting what you don't know. That's actually a very adult thing to do, which I think Drew is learning to do, to come to a moment of acceptance within himself. Like, it's okay that I'm not at Olympic status yet. You know, I'm still riding the bike with training wheels or whatever. And
I love it that towards the end of the session, he said, even saying it out loud helps, you know, not avoiding it. I'm getting better at naming these things. And I love the final thing that he said. I'm really excited for where I am in life right now. Right?
It's really touching, because previous sessions, he had literally been in a depressed state of hopelessness and being like, this does not excite me. I'm not excited for the future if this is what adulting is.
Right. It's something that, oh man, we can see it, I think, so clearly when we look objectively at it, right? Because what you just said, like, I'm not ready. I don't feel this. I'm. And when you actually move towards that thing and you say it, you kind of go, okay. Doesn't make everything better, and it doesn't solve it. It just means, oh, right, I'm actually present in these feelings.
Yeah. Back to mindfulness, right? Yep. It's almost being mindful in the moment. No judgment. Like, this is just what it is.
Right.
It is what it is. And I can have my feelings about it.
Full circle. How about that?
Look at that.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you can look at more next week.
Listen to more next week.
Well, they can look at stuff too. What do you look at when you're listening to the podcast? Because we are not videoing ourselves.
No, we are not.
But then they can't see your hair, because you did your hair today and it looks fantastic.
Thank you so much, Doug. That's the first compliment he's ever given me. I'm just kidding.
Oh, wow.
Ever.
You're so witty and funny.
Oh, Doug, are you talking to yourself?
Compliments 2 and 3 right there.
Okay, thank you so much. Yay.
And now I've hit my quota. And now we're going to leave you for a while, and we'll be back next week.
Yeah.
If you would like, we would appreciate it if you would find our podcast somewhere and review us, rate us. It helps get our word out there.
Yeah.
All of our words.
Did you see my eyes just like widen at the idea of rating and reviewing? But please, if it's a 5-star review, leave it. If it's anything else.
If it's anything else, please send it directly to Kenzie. She loves hearing the criticism.
Slide into my DMs.
That's right.
Tell me everything that's wrong with
right
me.
in there. We'll see you next week.
Time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.